Hey guys, and welcome to episode 16 of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on Ace Podcast Nation. I'm your host, Si, and I'm joined by ex-Premier League and Championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell. So first of all, I want to apologise again for last week, both to you guys and to Andy. We recorded a very good show. It was a lot of fun. We discussed all sorts of stuff. International games, club second managers, Neil Harris becoming Cardiff manager. It was all sorts. It was unbelievable. And we'll cover some of it in any other business tonight probably. But when I went to download it, it was corrupted and lost. And maybe one day when I release like a Patreon or something, I'll have the lost recording of the 39 minutes and all the outtakes and conversations that we have before we start recording. It's a special look. But anyway, and then plus, there might be a few footballers upset if there's the conversation we have before we start recording as well. Now, right, Stan, Andy.
Sorry. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, can't broadcast everything, would you? It'd be boring. So, tonight we'll start with any other business. Then we'll have three main featured games from the weekend's round of matches, and then we'll focus on in detail. And as well as talking about all the other games, we'll give our 2 for 2, where we select two players each who've had a nightmare or a blinder. Andy will answer your questions, no matter how weird they are, and then we'll finish off with some soon-to-be award-winning 10-second segment of Fake Geordie Bingo Lingo. And it's going to be a lot of fun, lots to talk about. Joining me to talk about all these subjects and more, plus provide expert insight and analysis, is the one and only goal-scoring machine, Fox in the Box, the QPR dream killer, the real Prince of Wales, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, buddy.
Good evening, mate. How are we?
All right, mate.
It's been a long week. It feels like a long time.
I know. It's only one out. And we still recorded it, and we still spoke about it and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
But we still did it, but no one else heard it. Yeah, it still feels like a massive gap.
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it's. I think it's a championship gap. I think because we watched the championship, it seems like a long time ago. I can't remember some previous results. You know, I mean, apart from I had to check back just to see the form guide of previous games from the weekend, just to see who's been affected by this dreaded international break again.
Oh my God! I'm glad it's over, mate. That every time it gets me.
For now, we've got a bit of a gap now, which is good.
And I just realised because I've been to my son's parents' evening tonight, I haven't texted you to tell you what the three featured games are, which were voted for by the people.
It's all right. I got them from Twitter yesterday. Well, I got them from Twitter this morning.
That's all right, mate. I'm glad you're organised.
One step ahead.
I've been all over the shop today.
One step ahead.
So
I always vote myself. So I've got on board because and so you know what I mean. So I know the results. So it's good. Yeah.
So I said this before, but I'll say it again. Obviously, like the majority of my personal followers are Cardiff fans, and a lot of your followers are Cardiff fans and Borough fans. So I always try to I just put them in alphabetical order in the voting, and split it over 3 or 4 votes. So, if you guys get fed up of having Cardiff as the featured game, you've got to get more people to vote. More because it's we're putting it down to people. So,
I didn't get my choice on a couple of them. So you know what I mean. You can only try, can't you?
Yeah, I didn't vote for Cardiff this week. I actually voted for the Blackburn game.
I voted Blackburn as well. Good minds and all that.
Yes, just for a change, just because I know that I'm gonna crap all over Cardiff. But there we go. It's a good job. No one will ever hear the episode from last week, isn't it? Woo! I was not happy, Bunny.
Oh, you weren't.
It'll never be heard now. No one will ever know.
No, it might come out the woodwork somewhere. Someone in the Skype world might have stolen it for a bit of revenge.
Yeah, that's it. Or either it's like Swansea fans, probably.
Yeah, I agree. They'll probably bring it out the week before the game. The rematch.
The rematch. Oh my God! I can't say I'm looking forward to that at the moment.
Like a hole in the head. Both of us. I think them as well, because they're not in great form either now. So it could be a bar fest.
Wow, that wouldn't be unheard of, would it, for derby games?
No.
Sometimes they underperform. Okay, right. Let's do the plugs, and then we'll get into the real talk. So all the shows and series are available in video format at youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Audio at the usual podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and such. We've got brand new Unscripted and Censored with Welsh boxer Gavin Gwynn, which dropped last week, as well as new wrestling shows, new mental health shows. There's a bit of everything. Today's show is brought to you by Away Day Apparel. Away Day Apparel is a group of casually obsessed football fans looking to bring something different to the wardrobes of like-minded people. With football, music, and weekend carnage high on the agenda, they aim to bring you some exclusive products. They are edgy, controversial, but most importantly current. T-shirts, polos, shorts to hoodies, jackets, and accessories. Stick with them and they bring you terrace wear that will turn heads and provide the cutting-edge look we all crave. Okay, so any other business, mate?
I can't get away from it. I wish I could, and I know it's not got nothing to do with the championship, but VAR is starting to really get on my nerves, and I don't know why they just don't have a break from it and get rid of it. Because the problem I've got, you've got VAR causing problems in the championship, in the Premier League. You've got inept linesmen, and which I'm going to talk about, and goal line technology. You know what I mean? Fulham were lucky they had goal line technology at the week on Friday night, or Hugel's goal wouldn't have counted, and it was a mile over the line. And my issue I've got, Si, is how linesmen, you know what I mean? This what is it, the fifth official or whatever it was who was behind the goal could see all these things. You know what I mean? I always wondered why he was there. You know what I mean? But it would just eradicate. It could even be just a young referee, and you know what I mean, who's not involved in the game apart from he can see all the goal mouth and see the things, just little things like that. It just takes the pressure off a linesman, because that could have been our team. It could have been, it was someone else's team, which QPR gave them the lead, and you know what I mean. It's not an easy place to go, Craven Cottage. You know what I mean. So if that got turned away and it was a mile over the line as well, it would have been a disaster. But finally, sense was prevailed, and you know what I mean. But it needs to be fine tuned at the minute. All these mistakes, because yes, everyone's human, but these are things what were guaranteed. You know what I mean? That the decisions for penalties guaranteed. Well, guaranteed for what? Because you know, I mean, somebody put something on Twitter this morning about the Liverpool foul and then the Cardiff foul last year against Watford. You know what I mean? Some of the mistakes what are happening. You know, the offside last year against Chelsea. You know what I mean? These are the kind of things which, you know what I mean? If VAR was involved this year, Cardiff would have stayed up last year. You know what I mean? So it's the frustrations, and you look where Cardiff are currently. You know what I mean? The situation they are. Neil Warnock would have been even more loved than what he currently is. He'd have been in the Premier League. He'd have had his swan song in the Premier League, and it's just a big bugbear of mine. I just don't like it. But then it follows me on to obviously Neil Harris took over from Neil Warnock. And it's the new manager's impact, and it's a positive impact. Gary Rowett, Stoke City new manager, Cardiff City new manager getting a positive result. You know what I mean? These new managers are coming in and they're making an impact straight away. And what makes me think is his chairman must be looking at this all over the Championship and Premier League and other leagues, thinking, yeah, time to change manager, because it'll have a positive impact. And I think that's my concern, that people are probably Cowley brothers, that a chairman might panic now and think it's the right thing to do, where, you know what I mean, we spoke about projects and things, and I don't want to see Middlesbrough manager get the sack. You know what I mean? It's going to be a tough one for him to keep his job, but at the same time, you know what I mean, I'd like him to be given a little bit more time, but it's a results business, and I get everyone's frustration, and I'm going to speak about it later on. But it's the same with Cardiff. You know what I mean? Cardiff fans sounded like they were happy that Neil lost his job, he got replaced, but at half time on Saturday lunchtime, I'm guessing they didn't want a new manager in place. You know what I mean? So it's a catch-22 situation at the minute. You know what I mean? Obviously, we're going to go through the games in a second, and but yeah, my biggest bugbear of the lot is VAR. I think, don't like it.
Yeah, I agree with the ref thing as well beyond the goal, because you could have refs who are doing who are in training. Like there's thousands of refs around.
Yeah,
UK.
but the thing is, though, they need experience, they need hours. What more experience can a young referee get, or a young linesman get, by standing behind the goal, and his only job is to make sure that he sees the ball go over the line or out the dead ball line. It doesn't get any more simpler than that side. There's no pressure whatsoever. If you get that wrong, then maybe refereeing the linesman's not for you.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. So it sorts itself out, doesn't it? And you know what I mean. If young referees can't handle the pressure, stood there in front of what's the biggest crowd we're going to get? 35,000 at Leeds or at Hillsborough. You know what I mean. So if they can't handle the pressure, or, you know what I mean, the pressure cooker, so to speak, then maybe it's not for them, because it's going to be a lot worse if they ever got the line or in the middle of a big championship game, which might mean something in 3, 4, 5 years' time, you know.
Yeah, I'm mixed on VAR because it's getting on my nerves. I don't really enjoy it. At the moment, I'd rather they wasn't there. But Cardiff would have stayed up with VAR last year, and that's the thing which makes me think. But then I've seen VAR get things wrong as well, so I think, well, maybe they would have just got it wrong anyway. So there we go.
But then it gives us more things to talk about, I guess, though, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then there's a conspiracy theory to go with it all, and you know what I mean. That's what Pep's talking about. You know what I mean, and it does make for good viewing, but doesn't give football a good name. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, it does. So last week we spoke about Sterling and Gomez. I don't want to speak about that again, particularly. I know people didn't hear what we had to say, but the gist of it was that it was nothing. We both agreed it was nothing, and it was the media blowing up into nothing. So I've got a bit of an issue with Talk Sport this week. On Monday and Tuesday, there was, I think, I counted just where on my drive to the school and stuff like that, and there and back, 5 different either ex-players or presenters or personalities who were English, who were like quite, I would say they weren't offensive, but they were like bordering on offensive, like saying they wanted Hungary to win and blah, blah, whatever. I don't care about that. But like, I was just a bit like, in the same sentence, they were then complaining about like Welsh fans and Scottish fans and Irish fans wanting England to lose. And it was a bit like hypocritical. And then the next day, obviously, Wales won. Wales qualified, which I'll talk about now in a minute. But like, then you have the thing with the Bale Flag, which was such a nothing story. And it's just been blown up into this huge thing. And then those same presenters and personalities are on the radio the day after the game, calling Bale arrogant and disrespectful and this and that. And I was like, my thing with that is, number one, he didn't touch the flag. He didn't get the flag. He never had any contact with it. Yeah, he stood in like behind it.
Was it Danny Mills?
Yeah, probably.
I've got my intake on the flag is he's just won qualification for a major tournament. You know what I mean? The flag was given to them. Was he 100% aware of what was going on? Did he care what was going on?
Yeah. See, that's what I would say.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not being funny. You know what I mean? If there's a Welsh flag and it's got writing on it, it could have said anything. And you know what I mean? He didn't. It's not like he stood at the front looking at it before he went behind and then started laughing and joking.
He didn't.
He was always stood in the same place. But even if he did sign, he can't see what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like if he doesn't know what's on the front, he's got every right to touch his own flag because he can see the dragon. He can see the colours. He might not be able to see the words. And I don't know Gareth Bale, so I'm not sticking up for him. I'm not his best mate. You know what I mean? My issue is he's passionate about his country. He's celebrated with his teammates behind his national team's flag. That's it.
Yeah, and they blew it up. And so my opinion of it is, I do think that he knew what it said. I think he was aware of it. That's only my opinion. I'm guessing because he hasn't said either way, and he didn't touch it. So you don't know. He didn't come around in front of it and look at it, and so you just don't know. But the other side of it is Madrid have treated him like shit for over 18 months now. Zidane, the first time round, treated him like crap. Then it got a bit better when Zidane left. Then Zidane come back. They've treated him like utter rubbish. And the fans have been, there's like a mix of some which are quite supportive of him, and then there's
you got hit and miss. But then he got booed on Saturday night, and I think it's just disgusting. You know what I mean? Because regardless what's happened, you know what I mean. They're paying his wages, so you're booing someone who you need in your team. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'll be honest. I hate all that negative booing towards your own team, mate. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. It's country or club or country. It just doesn't do any good to anybody.
And the thing is, he how many tournaments has he won them? Like
Exactly.
Champions, he won him Champions League single-handedly a few years ago, and
if he leaves, well, he's going to leave, isn't he, eventually? But you know what I mean. He's in charge of when he leaves. So if fans are going to be funny with him, and managers are going to be funny with him, he's going to dig his heels into the summer. You know what I mean? So
go for free. I hope he goes for free. I do. Just
exactly. Well, to be fair, he'll get a better contract if he just leave for free. So
the thing is, he's on like 600 grand a week. So like he ain't. No one in the Premier League's paying that.
Yeah, someone's gonna unless someone gets him for free. You know what I mean? Where you can afford it. 'Cause if someone's going to buy him, they're going to have to spend 25, 30 million quid, and that money would go on your wages. And I can't really fault teams paying massive wages if they don't have to pay a transfer fee. So it's a difficult one. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just real life. It's football life, and so fans aren't helping the situation. They're making him. He's going to make his own decision now because of the way the supporters have been. So they've got a big role to play.
At the end of the day, like his teammates, the manager, the chairman, they've all made comments about him, whether it's he doesn't speak Spanish or he doesn't join us for late night meals because he wants to go home to be with his wife and kid, and it's like, oh wow, what a bastard.
Yeah, well, it's like the old siesta and stuff. You know what I mean? I couldn't go and live in Spain and join in and go to sleep on an afternoon. That's not the way I can't go to sleep at home on an afternoon. So, you know what I mean? I like to stay awake and go to bed early if that's the way that I do things. And if people have the siesta and go out late, you know what I mean? If I was going on a night out, I'd go out at 6, 7 o'clock and have a good drink in the afternoon or a good drink early evening and go home early. I wouldn't go out at 11, 12 o'clock like they do in Spain. It's just they've got a different lifestyle to what we do. And like it or hate it, you know what I mean? If they came to England, they'd struggle like he struggled over there. You know what I mean? Yes, they might be able to speak the language, but it's lifestyle. It's various things. You know what I mean? He might want to go home after training and go and sit around his swimming pool with his little kid and his wife and his friends and his family and just enjoy some nice quiet time instead of being out in the public eye with his teammates. You know what I mean? It's such an old school thing to do, this socialising thing. So, you know what I mean? But then if Gareth Bale went out and had a couple of pints, he'd get hammered for doing it. So he can't do right for doing wrong.
No, that's it, isn't it? And the thing is, as well, it's like if his performances had suffered, or if he was like showing a bad attitude, he was half-assing it in training or whatever, then all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I'd get it. Yeah.
But he's not. He's like a model professional.
Yeah, he's got 2 goals in the Champions League, and he can't do any more for me personally. But
no,
it is what it is.
He certainly can't do any more for Wales. So Wales qualified again.
Yeah, pleased, really pleased.
Good as well.
It's well, yeah. To be fair, they looked good going forward. I thought it was going to be a nervy start, and Ryan got his team selection spot on just over the 2 games, not just the 1 game. I think he got it spot on over the 2 games, and you know what I mean. And you know what I mean. I'm so pleased because we need as many teams as we can in the event, and I do hope England don't get to play Wales because in the group stages it'd be nice to keep them apart and maybe get each other in a later stage. That would be a corker because then you're guaranteed. I'm a passionate Englishman, you know what I mean. You know I am. You know I love my country, but it would be nice for one of us to keep progressing even further, and that way that one of us has to. You know what I mean? Where we're both in the same group, potentially we both go out, or we both. You know what I mean? There's not that much room for error there. You know what I mean? No. So
Giggs is a funny one because he's still not massively popular with the Welsh fans. Like I think he's done a pretty good job. I think he's done an excellent job bringing through the young players because, as I discussed with you before, Wales have got some cracking, really, really young players like under 20s and under 19s, and I feel like he's bringing them through really well. You know, Kiefer Moore can't really buy a goal for Wigan. This season, and he's banging them in for Wales.
Yeah, it happens like that. They'll say it's just, you know what I mean. Players have that thing. You know what I mean. It happened with Robson Kanu. You know what I mean. He's relentless for Wales. Just didn't stop scoring, and then he's had a club level. He's had a real lull, real quiet spell until now.
This is what I was going to ask you. Actually, was about how Robson Kanu because I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and he said his only problem with Giggs is he thinks that whilst he's done a good job with the young players, he thinks he discarded some other players too quickly.
Too early.
Like he thinks Hal Robson-Kanu could still do a job because, Kiefer Moore there will be a point where, or you'd think there's most likely to be a point where his form will dip because he's not like a top championship player or a top at the moment.
Yeah,
top Premier.
I think you've got to see it from Giggs' point of view. When he started the campaign, what was 16 months ago, wasn't it? Robson-Kanu didn't have a club. You know what I mean? So then he signed for West Brom. He wasn't fit. He wasn't in a good place. He wasn't playing regular football. He wasn't scoring goals. So he picked the squad and went down a route of something which has worked eventually. Robson-Kanu, he, at the minute, he can't miss. He's scoring goals. He's playing regular. He's putting West Brom to another level. He's keeping out some very good players, probably players who are potentially better than he is, but he's keeping them out. So on current form, he deserves to have his place in the squad. But doesn't know what happened like that.
When he didn't pick Hal, I don't know if it was the first squad, but whether it was after a couple, but Hal Robson kind of did retire from international football. Now, could Giggs have contacted him at some point and said, look, you've got a club now, you're back fit, you're scoring goals, would you reconsider? Yeah, he could have. But then equally...
Yeah, 100%. Do you think, if you got a phone call now, Si, and said, can you come out of retirement to come play in the major tournament, you wouldn't, you'd snap his hands off. You would snap his hands off.
But then maybe he wants to stick with the players who've done it for him as well.
Yeah, but you've got to look at you want to be successful, and you know what I mean, and you want, you know what I mean. The last major tournament made Robson-Kanu. Do you know what I mean, with his goals and the way he played, the way he led the line, and you know what I mean, and it got him the move that he got, and you know what I mean, good luck to him, and that could be Kiefer Moore, it could be somebody else, it could be Robson-Kanu again. You just never know with football. You know what I mean, people come in and out of retirement quite willy-nilly, especially international football.
Yeah, I mean, another thing with Wales is Bale. Obviously, when Bale plays, even if he doesn't have a particularly effective game, he was very good against Hungary, but even if he doesn't have a particularly effective game, he takes two players out of the game all the time, which gives Daniel James and Ramsey that space to do the damage. And Aaron Ramsey is a massive player for Wales. They always look worse when he's not in the squad, and they struggle. Like they did in the World in France. They got to the semi-final. Ramsey was suspended for the match against Portugal, and they just didn't look the same outfit that they'd looked throughout the whole tournament. And I think
that was Hungary's downfall, that they concentrated so much on Bale, doubling up on him, putting players on him, and they left some big gaps for me, for better players on the day. You know what I mean? The Gareth can't do it all on his own, and I think Hungary got the tactics all wrong, and left some gaps for Ramsey, for James, and for some other players. And you know, I mean, you can't afford to do that, because Gareth Bale's that clever. He brings himself out of the game, puts himself wide to put balls in the box, and the rest history. You know, so it's not all about being the person who puts the ball in the net. It's a team game, and I think Gareth's obviously aged really well, and he's playing with so much confidence when he plays for Wales. And you know what I mean, he doesn't have to get the goals anymore. It's about the team winning a football match and progressing through, and that's what happened. And Gareth's happy. He's over the moon. He's going to be playing in another major tournament as long as he stays fit and healthy, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, and I think it helps him that he's got Daniel James on the other wing, who's like a young version of him almost, and he's so quick.
Yeah. He's electric. He's got the lot, and he's playing in a good energetic Man United side, and you know what I mean. I think it helps that. I think the moves helped him. You know what I mean. We spoke about this in the summer side, and we were quite surprised and thought it was a bad move because he's not going to play. And you know, I didn't expect him to play as much. You know what I mean. But he's hit the ground running straight away. He's got himself a good start, and long may it continue. Really.
Indeed. So just the last bit of any other business. We've gone a bit longer this week, partly because we lost last week's show. Last week me and you discussed the sacking of managers. Obviously, you mentioned it at the start of the show again today. So last week Tottenham sacked Pochettino, and brought in Mourinho. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
That was obviously sorted out before Maurizio got the sack, which is obviously disappointing as a manager to lose your job. You know what I mean? But then to hire a manager that soon, and you know what I mean.
Day after, wasn't it?
You know what I mean? That was obviously sorted out because especially nowadays with managers, especially Mourinho, it's done with solicitors. That was obviously done behind his back. But if someone like Jose is free, you know what I mean? He hasn't got a club, he's not tied down, and he's gone for the best possible option. You know what I mean? And people talk about cheap options. Well, they haven't gone for a cheap option at all. They've gone for the most expensive option. So, you know what I mean? It's about Spurs trying to win a trophy, and they've gone for someone who's renowned for winning trophies in his first season. So they're going down a route, and will it work out? Only time will tell. You know what I mean? Daniel Levy's put himself under pressure with doing what he's done, with doing what he's done. But at the same time, I think it'll be a good appointment because I think Mourinho's got a massive point to prove.
Yeah, yes. My point with Mourinho is the same that it was when he went to Man United. Is if you bring Mourinho in, you have to back him. If you're going to not back him in the transfer market, or you're only going to half back him, which is what I think United did, it's pointless because he's not a manager like someone maybe like Pep or Klopp or Poch, who, they would like to spend money, but they can work with players who are a bit younger and they can bring them on and they can do that. He's one for the there and now, win trophies in 3 years and leave.
But do you not think though that Spurs have been quite, you call it naive, call it clever, call it what you want, that they haven't spent any money over the last few seasons. They've got the ground sorted out, you know what I mean? So maybe this was a plan all along to bring in a manager who they can back and throw money left, right and centre at them to go at the next level because they're in the Champions League. They've generated their own money. They're now a worldwide football club with a good reputation around the world. You know what I mean? Bigger than they probably were 3 seasons ago. You know what I mean? Pochettino's done a great job. Probably better than a lot of people thought he was going to do, including myself. You know, he's done a great job, but I didn't expect him to be in the Champions League final last year. I didn't expect him to push teams close in the Premier League, and I think this season, you know what I mean, with them look like they're underachieving. You know what I mean? Maybe this is where Spurs should be. You know what I mean? You just don't know. You know what I mean? Look at the Premier League at the minute. You've got Leicester City, you've got Wolverhampton Wanderers. If Sheffield United had held on to that to a victory last night, Sheffield United in the top 5. So that and then 3 in the top 5. Do you know that you're always going to get surprises and shocks? So then you're always going to get good sides who have to underachieve because everyone can't win. It's just It's just impossible, you know. So you know what I mean. If I've just named 3 out of the top 5 there, then where does Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea? Where do all them fit into it? Because they all can't. There's 10 teams. So you can't all fit in the top 5 if there's 10 teams I've just named. So, you know what I mean? And Arsenal, you know, there's some massive teams in there, and it just shows how much of a business it is. But Tottenham now need to go to the next level. It'll be interesting how much money he gets in that January window and how wisely he spends it. Because I think defensively is an area where they've struggled. It'll be like a new signing if he keeps Harry Kane, but. You know what I mean? I know that's probably for another day that we look at things like that, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose you mentioned Man United just there. If you were Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, would you be sweating? Because, you know, Ed Woodward wanted Poch. He was quite obvious about it. And it was only really that Solskjaer had that amazing run for those first 12 games that probably got him the job. Because I think if he had been as patchy as he is now, in that initial period, they would have waited till the summer and got Pochettino.
Yeah, I think he'll really struggle. I think he'll struggle to keep his job, and I think he was talking last night about the Man United had come a long way. That last night they would have got beat 4-0 from being 2-0 down. I'm not really sure how you can look at the positives when you're 3-2 up with a couple of minutes left against Sheffield United. And this is me being disrespectful. I played for Sheffield United when I was a young kid, and Sheffield United are a massive football club and a club that I'm really fond of. But we're talking about Man United here, the biggest club in the world, and he's talking about that the club have come a long way.
Because they didn't lose 4-0.
Because they didn't get beat 4-0 against Sheffield United. That, you know what I mean, the expectation. So if they get beat 4-0 against Sheffield United, he deserves to lose his job.
Well, Solskjaer's one of my favourite players ever. As a manager, I'm very unconvinced. I thought he was out of his depth at Cardiff, and I think he's out of his depth at Man United. And I think he'll be gone by Christmas. It's my prediction.
I totally agree.
And I just got to go and let my son in a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
2 secs. There it is. L. Hi, mate.
No, mate.
Fucking. Who's banging the door?
Kids, eh?
Yeah. Right. That's right. I waited, didn't tell. Okay, so let's get into the real stuff, the good stuff. The Sky Bet Championship is back. Thank God. It's another week. Action-packed games, controversy, and shock results, plus some very, very good quality goals. Okay, so I suppose we'll start with Charlton 2, Cardiff 2.
What a start! I think when Neil took over, I think he probably dreamt of this and dreamt of having a dream start. But I think a dream turned into a quick nightmare with some poor defending. Just looked all over the place. The first goal, poor defending by Joe Bennett and another player. Just you've got to talk more, Si. You know what I mean? If you're doubling up against a winger, you just communicate more and show him away from goal. They didn't communicate. He ran in the middle of them. He crossed it in. And Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea scored a neat and tidy goal. And to be fair, he looked really sharp. I was quite impressed with him. And then a little bit of controversy. I thought Patterson should have had a penalty. I'm not saying it was a blatant foul, but he went to shoot and his heel got clipped accidentally. So regardless if it's an accident or it's on purpose, it's still a foul. If it happens anywhere on the pitch, I believe the referee gives that as a foul. So it's a penalty kick for me. And then the second goal, I thought the back four were all over the place. I thought they weren't in a straight line. They were jaded. They were all over the place. There was two sitting behind Flint, and then Lecco made a run in behind them and finished quite neatly. And you know what I mean. At half time, I was extremely worried. I tried to stay off social media and not have a little bit of a rant. You know what I mean. So my sensible head stayed on, and I thought, but I'm not watching the second half. So I turned it on just before Cardiff got the first goal. I missed the penalty from Julia Hoylett, but obviously seen it since. That an absolute dreadful penalty, dreadful taken penalty. But I don't think it was a penalty sign. I'll be honest. I think the first half one was a more blatant one than the penalty. I know he's got hold of him, but that happens all over the pitch, especially on corners, and the referees don't give them. You know what I mean? So, but can't take anything away. The penalty was absolutely diabolical, and I've probably taken one of the worst penalties in Cardiff City's history against Leeds United. You know what I mean? And I think that's right up there with Western mine. So it took the pressure off me a little bit. But after that, mate, I thought Cardiff were outstanding. I thought Bakuna was driving from midfield. He was unlucky not to have a couple of goals himself. Chance after chance after chance. Mendes Lang scored I'll call it a scruffy goal because it was a bit of a deflection, ricochet, and then he scored a really tidy finish. And then I thought Lee Tomlin's goal was excellent. I thought it was really good play down the left by Joe Bennett, cut the ball across, and He gave the keeper the eyes a little bit and tucked it in his near post. And after that, there's only one winner. And I think if Cardiff had got their third goal, I think they'd have probably deserved it with the second half showing. But you know what I mean? I think a bit of arrogance from Charlton that they turned up in the first half after the first half display and thought Cardiff City they've gone here and we've won the game 2-0 already, or we're going to get 3, 4, and 5. And it wasn't to be like that. Whatever Neil said at half time, and obviously changed a few things at half time, changed tactics, and he got himself and he got his team back into it. And you know what I mean? I think we spoke about this side about teams having a plan B, plan C, and if things aren't working, you've got to be able to employ something different. And whatever he said at half time worked a treat. And but you can't defend like that. You can't give. I'll call Charlton a decent side because they are a decent side. You can't give decent sides a head start. And if we were playing a West Brom, a Leeds, a Swansea, Nottingham Forest, you wouldn't be able to get back into the games. So, you know what I mean? You've got to be very careful who you're playing because teams won't just sit back like Charlton did. Other teams will keep going at you, and you won't get that opportunity to get back into games. And, you know what I mean? So I think they were fortunate that they found Charlton and not a Leeds United.
Yeah, Charlton sat back all game, didn't they? And they hit Cardiff on the break, and they looked dangerous on the break all game.
But saying that though, Si, it's worked so far this season for Lee Boyer, so why change it? You know, but it's when you're hitting a side like Cardiff, who've got the players to pin you back and pin you back and pin you back, and if you keep banging on the door enough, it's gonna break open. And you know what I mean? Are Charlton good enough to sustain that kind of pressure against a good side? And the answer was no. You know what I mean? And there's better sides who'll knock on the door, you know what I mean, this season. And, you know what I mean, will they be good enough to sustain it? You know what I mean? They did against Leeds United, they held out against Leeds, but it wasn't to be against Cardiff. And once Cardiff got the first, you know what I mean, I feared for Charlton a little bit. And when the second went in, I thought, there's enough time here. You know what I mean? Let's go and get another one, keep knocking on the door. But just lacked a bit of quality then and more belief that they were going to win it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a dreadful penalty by Hoylett.
Awful.
Oh, dreadful. And that, you know, they win the game with that as well. But I thought Gallagher was very good for Charlton. I thought Macaulay Bonne, I thought was very good as well, actually.
Yeah, he's having a good season.
I think Charlton look like a side who have got a lot of injuries. They look like they're struggling a little bit. And they were, like you said to me before we started recording, they were there for the taking with a new manager, you know, like a fresh outlook. But in that first half, they looked like the team, you know, who were where Cardiff should be, and they were very, very good. But then
Charlton,
the second half, they looked their age.
Yeah, well, Charlton looked like a side who's had a really good start of the season, but is starting to now feel it a little bit in the Championship and try. You know what I mean? That they've done really well, and they were there for the take. And I think that's my biggest frustration on Saturday. That I was relieved and happy with the points, but then disappointed that like you said, that penalty didn't go in. Or the second goal wasn't scored a little bit earlier to give them a little bit more time. And it was like, you know, after the second goal, it was like they were huffing and puffing, but you know what I mean? I didn't really see them going to get that third. I'll be honest.
Good to see Mendes Lang on the score sheet again because they need him.
Yeah, but he's got to get in the box, Si. He's got to get in the box to score goals. You know, and he causes problems. You know what I mean? He does a lot of work out wide, and you know what I mean. If you're going to score goals as a wide man, you've got to get in the box. So when Joe Bennett's on the left hand side, if it's Tomlin, if it's somebody else on the left hand side, you've got to get yourself in the box from the right hand side and the opposite way around. You know what I mean? In order to get more goals, and he needs to add goals to his game. You know what I mean? He's an outlet. I thought he was outstanding, especially second half. He was a threat all over the place. He was causing problems with his physicality, with his pace, with his aggression. He scored a very good goal. But he needs to bring more goals to his game. And you know what I mean? If it wasn't for his positive performance second half, I don't think Cardiff would have got back into it.
No, and I think like I got to say, I know Glatzel was injured. But I'm not having Gary Medine as a Championship striker. I couldn't believe Cardiff paid £6 million for him.
One thing I will still go for him, though, Si. I thought he led the line all right. You know what I mean? I didn't think he should have been booked for that dive. I thought it was a coming together.
No,
he didn't ask for the penalty, so I'll clear that one up because you know what I mean. It's not that we don't like diving on here, and we have given a few downs for players being stupid in and around the box. But you know, I thought that was a ridiculous decision by the referee because if he's booked him. He's got to book Patterson in the first half for going down in the box. Yeah, it's just it's consistency. It's consistency for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the referee's looked at it, or he's got things in his mind that he knows he made a mistake in the first half, should have given a penalty, so he gives one in the second half quite early. It's but things like that shouldn't happen, but they do.
So overall, Neil Harris. Obviously, people didn't hear your view last week of whether you were happy and whatnot. What would you say your overall view of his appointment and his first game in charge?
I'd say I'm a little bit more positive after seeing his first game. You know what I mean? And that might sound stupid after what I've just said, but I'm on about the way that he turned things around, because things would have happened this season that we wouldn't have turned that around. You know what I mean? I don't think there was as much belief. So obviously whatever he said at half time, and that's the impact of a manager. You know what I mean? Managers can't do anything apart from what they say in a 10-minute spell before the players go back out. You know what I mean? So he's sorted the troops out at half time. He's gone in and said whatever he said, negative or positive. And the lads have come out second half and pulled out a really positive display. And if we can get 60, 70, 75 minutes out of these players instead of 40, 45, 50, we're going to win more games than what we have currently. You know what I mean? So if that's his job to get more out of these players, because we've said it about Fulham, I've said it about Middlesbrough, I've said it about other sides. Cardiff City underperforming. The league table does not lie. You know what I mean? Regardless of what other managers say. The league the league doesn't lie. Cardiff are where they are because they haven't won enough football matches and they've dropped too many points against lesser sides. And Saturday was another example of this. And you know what I mean? If they should have won with missing a penalty and other creating chances, but at the end of the day, you give 2 goals away, then why Charlton could be saying the same thing. Somebody else could be doing a podcast or doing an interview saying we scored 2 goals at home against the Cardiff City side. We should have won. So you can't afford to give sides 2-goal head starts or fighting back week in, week out. So I think I'm a little bit. I'm positive. I think it'll be a good one. I think he's obviously put himself under a little bit more pressure now defensively. That he's now got to sort this out. Did he pick the right players? You know what I mean? I'm glad Nelson. You said it. We said it via text conversation at the weekend. I'm glad he kept his place, and I really was pleased he kept his place. My concern now is what does he do next game?
Does he bring Morrison back in?
Does he put it back in? You know what I mean? Is he going to panic, or is he going to say, right, you were my preferred choice in my first game. You're going to get another opportunity. Do not let me down, because if you'd let me down again, you're out, and someone else is there to take your place. You know what I mean? And because there's Sol waiting in the wings as well. So you know what I mean? It's competitive places, you know what I mean? So you know what I mean? These players, you know what I mean? They're not guaranteed a game. Flint's not guaranteed a game, regardless of how much money it cost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so on paper, Cardiff have got a better defence this year than they had last year. On paper, but defensively, the figures don't lie as well. They've let more goals. They've let a horrific amount of goals in.
Yeah, the defensive have been shocking. They I've been banging this drum for weeks, but they've got to find a way to get Lee Tomlin playing just off the striker in that number 10 position.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding when he come on as well.
He was very good, and I also would like to see Will Vokes, get him some game time.
Yeah, you go.
Both, I think, can make a big difference to that going forward.
I think a new manager will give the impetus to those kind of players, that they've got a fresh start. You know what I mean? Where I think they were down the pecking order a little bit under the old manager, and now straight away they'll be on a level playing field with other players, and Lee especially. You know what I mean? There's no better 10 in the league on his day. You know what I mean? So we just need to see that more often, and the Championship would love it. You know what I mean? Because he's been there, he's wore the T-shirt, he's earned his stripes. So you know what I mean? We just need to get more from him. But he has to play to do that. You can't win a game on the bench. You can't win a game in the stand. He's got to be on the pitch.
No, that's right. Okay, so next up, Luton 1, Leeds 2.
I've never seen a more one-sided first half than I've seen on this game, and to be fair, I feared for Luton because they got absolutely battered. You know what I mean? They should have been 5-6-0 down at half time, but Paddy Bamford was unlucky not to score a couple of occasions. He hit the crossbar. The goalkeeper was on absolute fire. He had a fantastic game, and I was so surprised it was 0-0 at half time. And the Leeds came out the second half, and like I've just said there, that normally second half gives other teams an opportunity to to put their stamp on the game, and this didn't happen. Leeds straight away got back at them, and Paddy made a decent run. You know what I mean, got inside the box and smashed it past the near post, and it was only then that Luton came alive after giving a goal away. So goals change games, and I think Leeds then thought it was game over. They sat back a little bit, and Luton peppered the goal. I thought Izzy Brown was outstanding. I thought he was a menace for Leeds. He was creating chances. His cross for Collins, his header was phenomenal. And then Luton were unlucky not to take the lead, and they had a couple of good chances. They had a goal disallowed for offside, which was offside. And then I've watched the winning goal for Leeds 4 or 5 times. I still can't decide who scored it. You know what I mean? They're giving it to Pearson, but I'm sure that Bamford got a touch. So if he's got a touch and then it's hit Pearson, it's still his goal because it's going on target. You know what I mean? Pearson doesn't want it. You know what I mean? Bamford does. You know what I mean? I thought Bamford's run across the defender was outstanding. You know what I mean? Pearson slid across, and whoever's got the goal, it's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Leeds got the winning goal, and I've used the words "never say die" because, and I'm going to use it again on the next game, that these good sides they never know when to give up. You know what I mean? Leeds are just relentless. They're non-stop attack, and that's why they have that many shots on target. That's why they score all these goals, and you know what I mean, because they're a top side and with a top manager, and I think, you know what I mean, I think it was against the run of play in the second half, but overall, you know what I mean, they deserve to win that game after the first half performance, and I think Bamford will get a lot of confidence from his performance. You know what I mean? Normally we spoke about that he got brought off quite regularly. 60 minutes, off you come, son. You know what I mean? You've done enough, but because he got his goal and he was playing well, he stayed on, and when you've got a player like Paddy Bamford, you know what I mean, if you're still on the pitch, you've got a chance to score another goal, and that happened with the winning goal. And Leeds are just consistently up there, and you know, it pains me to say it, but you know what I mean, I can't see him falling away. They haven't got a weak spot at the minute, and I think that's my concern for the rest of the league. You know what I mean, the manager's the best in the Championship by a country mile. You know what I mean, he's got his team well drilled defensively, the sound, and going forward, they just seem to have an unbelievable amount of shots a goal. And
they had 21 shots in Leeds had in during that game.
And to be fair, if it wasn't for Shea in goal, it should have been 6 at half time. Some of the saves he made, he shouldn't have made.
Unbelievable.
You know what I mean? And you know what I mean, how it went in at half time, and I was so disappointed from second half because the 2 goals what he did let in were probably easier than some of the saves he made in the first half. But I'm not saying it was his fault. But it was just you know what I mean. Luton can hold the heads up high side. They've had some real unfortunate incidences this season. You know what I mean, and they ran the best side in the league so far, really close. So you know what I mean, good luck to them. They'll carry it on, and you know what I mean, they'll upset a lot of teams, especially at Kenilworth Road, because the atmosphere is great. You know what I mean, it's full house every week, and when the crowd gets behind them, they get some positivity behind, and they create some chances.
Oh yeah, and I thought my guy Glick was outstanding all game.
Yeah, he was again. I will say something else about Collins up front for Luton. I spoke about him quite a lot in the summer. That I questioned, could he do it? He's done it in League Two. He's done it in League One. He's done it in the Conference. Could he do it in the Championship? And he keeps doubting me, and he keeps proving the doubt is wrong. And you know what I mean. I hope it continues because people deserve a bit of luck. You know what I mean. And if Luton do get relegated, you know what I mean, there's an opportunity that they might, because you know what I mean, there's some very good sides in the Championship in and around them, and you know what I mean, I'd like people like him to progress on his football career and keep going and keep scoring goals, because he's earned his stripes playing lower leagues and deserves to be playing his trade at his highest level. And if this is the highest level he can do it at, then he deserves to be doing it week in, week out.
Yeah, like you had Glick pulling strings for the whole game. He was excellent. I thought Bamford was very good.
Yeah, he was.
But I thought Tyler Roberts was excellent.
Yeah, he was. He's got energy to burn. He's direct. He runs at people's side. And when you've got somebody like that, you've always got an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like Leeds going forward. You know, and when you've got people like Glick in midfield, and you've got somebody who leads the line, and you've got pace either side, Harrison. You know what I mean? And you've got fullbacks bombing on. You know what I mean? How do you mark all these players? It's impossible. Yeah. And when Leeds are on fire, they're hard to beat. They're hard to stop. It's when they sit back. Are they good enough to sit back? On Saturday at times they weren't, because Luton scored. Luton created chances. They had a goal disallowed. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean. But when Leeds get at you, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, it was interesting when they scored. They just completely changed tactics and sat back.
Yeah, I don't
And
get that.
I was thinking, you've just bombarded them, non-stop all game, and now you've got one goal. You're kind of sitting back. That's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Particularly when the Luton keeper's been playing the way he's been playing.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go searching for that. If Luton equalised late on, which they went on and equalised, and Leeds had to find a late goal, but it's a risky business.
How many times we've been saying it this time? We just said it in the previous game. You know what I mean? Charlton do it as a tactic. Just sit. Even if they're winning, you know what I mean. They don't change. They're happy to sit and defend and hit on the break. And you know what I mean. For me, Leeds could have easily gone and got that second. If they got the second, they're going to get the third. They're going to get the fourth, and then you can relax a little bit for your midweek fixture, and you can start bringing your players off and resting players and saving players. You know what I mean. But on another day, with the goalkeeper, like you say, playing as well as he was, you know what I mean. He potentially could have saved that last one, and then you're going away from Kenilworth Road with 2 points dropped instead of all 3 points, and you know what I mean. They would have kicked themselves if that had happened. Kicked themselves.
Yeah, I can't say I'm looking forward to the Leeds game for Leeds Cardiff. I got to say.
No, well, like Middlesbrough
the way Cardiff are defending.
Well, Middlesbrough played them at the weekend, and I'm dreading it. I'm absolutely dreading it because Leeds at Ellen Road, it's ridiculous. They're ridiculous. You know what I mean? The amount of possession they have, the amount of shots they have, and you know what I mean. I'm worried. I'll probably be saying this on Monday. Middlesbrough winning 1-0. So you know what I mean. I'll probably watch your space.
Leeds are a bit more unpredictable than the next team we're going to talk about, which is West Brom, who beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-1.
Yeah.
Leeds are a bit more unpredictable, I think, than West Brom. Whilst I think if both teams were playing at their very best, I would rather play West Brom.
Yeah, I would. And I think
West Brom are more consistent.
I think that's a manager, though, Si. I think that's the manager's expectations. I think because Bielsa's a little bit erratic, his players play a little bit like that. That they're just gung ho all the time. Where Slaven Bilic is a lot more grounded. He's a lot more. You do this, it's my way, and he's a lot more defensive minded. And but we're saying that though. West Brom have got the best centre forwards in the Championship, so on paper. So it's
What do we know?
Yeah.
So West Brom 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1, and Sheffield Wednesday form team.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, they've been a highlight of my last probably month of the Championship. I think they've been outstanding, but this is a little bit of a game too far. And I'm going to speak about the last goal, a mistake by Westwood, which cost them in the end. But a tale of two penalties, really, for me. Obviously, the first goal was before the goal. I thought Sheffield Wednesday started really well. They had a few good chances, a couple of good saves, but then Pereira got on the ball, started pulling the strings in midfield, and played a great ball through to Robson Carnu. And when you've got somebody who can put balls through like that, and Carnu's finish was amazing. He's on fire. You know what I mean? You can't give him an opportunity like that. And then after half time, Sheffield Wednesday started to get back in the game slowly, putting the balls in the box to Fletcher, causing problems. And then the penalty came about, and you can't give Stephen Fletcher an opportunity from the penalty spot, and smashed it away. And then it was a little bit of a ping pong game that Sheffield Wednesday had an attack, West Brom had an attack. Sheffield Wednesday should have scored, West Brom should have scored, and then I thought it was a poor decision by Westwood to come out and bring him down. I think sometimes you've just got to stay put on your line.
Definitely a penalty.
He's given the referee the easy decision.
Yeah.
By coming out, you know what I mean. You don't have to make contact now. You know, it's such a grey area for me. You know what I mean. As a centre forward, I used to love taking goalkeepers on, but I used to look for minimal contact and I'm going over. And I believe that's what happened again. And you know what I mean. You could tell he was frustrated by himself. He was angry with himself, Westwood, that he's given the referee an easy decision. You know what I mean.
He didn't need to come out, did he?
That's
the thing.
He's going more away from goal, and you know what I mean. And you don't know if his centre forward's going to take a heavy touch. It's the 87th minute of the game. It's a poor decision, and you know what I mean. But he's a good goalkeeper, and I think that's the biggest frustration. And like I say, you can't give Charlie Austin an opportunity from 12 yards. It's just
No.
It's criminal. You know, we're on about the best centre forwards in the league here. You know, I mean, he hasn't scored a lot of goals in the Championship since he's on loan, since he's come from Southampton, and he put that right in the corner. And you know what I mean. I think it was disappointing because, like you say, he's gone away from goal. Was it a penalty? It's 50-50, but the ref's got a split decision to make. It looked like he had, but if that's VAR, you're looking at it again thinking, you know,
So there's a boy in the year above my boy in the Tafswell. He's very, very, very good. And what I noticed he does is I think he might be 2 years older, maybe, I don't know. He's older. And what he does is rather than coming steaming out one-on-one, as a lot of keepers do of all ages, as soon as it's one-on-one, they come out to narrow the angle because that's what they're taught from age 8, as you know, as my boy has and stuff. But what he does is he comes about halfway, doesn't go all the way to the ball, sets himself, and he backs himself to save it, or to, if you know, the striker can't take it around him because he hasn't come far enough out, and he just backs himself. He's massive, so he can't be chipped, and he just backs himself to be able to react quick enough to save the shot, which I think, and 9 times out of 10 he does save it.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting tactic for a goalie because it goes against kind of what you're taught and coached.
Is this a new thing then, Si? Because I'm going back in the day. When did you ever see Peter Schmeichel come out and be rounded as a goalkeeper? Never did. He stayed big. He made himself big and backed himself. Start. He backed himself to save a shot. Kasper Schmeichel does it. You know what I mean? So David De Gea does it. Lloris does it. You know, so some of the top goalkeepers, you know what I mean? It's a rush of blood sometimes. Sometimes if you think you can win the ball, you win the ball. It's about starting positions as well. You know what I mean?
It's about getting instinct, though, isn't it? To go for the ball.
It is, yeah. So, I think the thing is, also, you're not coming out to hurt somebody because you know if you get this wrong, you're off.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the rules are grey area at the minute. You know what I mean? Because you're not supposed to get punished twice, but you do.
My boy got sent off the other day for exactly that.
For the same thing. Well, you're not supposed to. You see, you're not supposed to be punished twice unless it was outside the box. Maybe
it was outside the box.
Well, maybe that's what
the referee said. It was a friendly, so he said, "Look, if this was next week where it's a league game, you'd be off. But because it's a friendly, I'm just going to give you a yellow card." He comes steaming out and just the boy went flying. Like then
he won't have meant to. Yeah, you know what I mean, and that's the split. That's the split decision. You know what I mean. I'm going to speak later on about a couple of really horrific tackles in the Championship. But when a goalkeeper does it, it looks really bad, but there's no intent. You know what I mean. We've seen some really bad injuries for centre forwards being clattered late. You know what I mean, happened to Klinsmann, happened to Luke Nillis years and years ago, back in my day. But they're accidents because goalkeepers come out looking at the ball, and you know what I mean. It is accidental sometimes, but at the same time, if goalkeepers back themselves to stay big and stay on the line in certain times, but the thing is also we could be sat here now talking about Westwood coming out on Saturday at the 87th minute, clearing the ball, being a hero, earning this side a solid point. You know what I mean? So it's
quick thinking, saved opportunity.
It's fine margins, and unfortunately for him on Saturday, it backfired a little bit, and you know what I mean. He'll be critical on himself, Gary Monk. You know what I mean? But he'll back him. You know what I mean? Because he's a very good goalkeeper, and you know what I mean.
I thought he had a good game actually.
So did I. He made some good saves, and he knew he was going to be busy. You know he's going to be busy at the Hawthorns, you know. So it's but yeah, it's a timing side. If that was the first minute, we wouldn't be talking about it. But because it's the 87th minute and it's cost the side 3 points or 2 points, it's or a point. It's a bigger issue.
I tell you, who did have a good game again was Pereira.
Do you know what?
Player.
I would. He's turning into my favourite player in the Championship. He's just.
Do you feel blessed to be able to witness it in the Championship? He's one of these players where I just feel lucky that he's playing Championship football because he's far too good for it. So I just feel grateful that I can watch him play.
Well, I'm on my I'm not going to give away my one of me two ups, me ups, but it's about this 10. It's about the 10 and Lee Tomlin. You know what I mean? We've got some of the best. Tom Kearney. Do you know what I mean? We've got some amazing 10s in the Championship, and the Championship is the best league it's ever been. It's the best division it's ever been, and you've got so many good players. We've got international footballers in it. You know what I mean? So it's every week side something else is happening. You know what I mean? That when we first started, we were hammering goalkeepers, talking about. Now we're starting to talk about all these good players, starting to show their fruit every week, and just show how good they are, and you know what I mean, the consistency of them, and it's amazing. And you know what I mean, for him, he should be playing in the Premier League. He should be playing in Portugal.
You tell me, Pereira, what Premier League first 11 does he not get into? Man City and Liverpool?
Man City, Liverpool, yeah. You know what I mean? On current form, could he be feeding Harry Kane? 100%. You know what I mean?
They're not playing on Eriksen because of his contract stuff. So you play him there. Would I play him over Jesse Lingard or all the crap which Man United are playing in number 10? Yeah. Would I play him? Who have Chelsea got in that midfield area? Mason Mount.
Well, you've got Kante doing it at the minute. You know what I mean? And Kante, for me, he's a holder, he's a sitter. But because Jorginho's doing it, it's you know what I mean. So yeah, there's a gap.
So you play him there.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. He's that good.
Yeah, he's immense, doing really well.
Because we said so. That is. So when he signs for one of those clubs in the summer,
yeah, we can take a cut.
30-year first.
We can take a cut. But the thing is, outside, there's a few people who will owe this. Who will owe us a bit of money on a transfer because and there'll be one who I'm going to talk about in the next bunch of fixtures when who scored 2 against one of my teams on the weekend.
Go on, Jared.
But yeah,
giving it away now, aren't I? See,
yeah.
I was guessing as well because I had the parents' evening. We haven't shared our 2 for 2s. We haven't.
I refuse to give him it. Refused.
Not again. Can't give it to him again.
Well, no, I refuse because he scored against at the weekend. Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. Can't be doing
Come
that.
on now. It's got to be fair. Got to be quiet.
Nah, he's outstanding, but he won't be there. He won't be in the Championship soon, I don't believe. So we need to give him all we can.
Nah, he's going to be playing for Cardiff City in January. Next up, we'll go through all the other games now. Won't be as detailed, but we're pretty detailed guys anyway, so we'll end up talking about it. There's no time limit on this show. Next up, Fulham 2, QPR 1. Obviously, this was the Friday night game. Mitrovic suspended.
I really enjoyed this game. Side to be fair, I wasn't planning on watching it, but I sat and watched the whole thing. John Hugel got off to a great start, scored a very good goal. I thought he was outstanding, led the line really well. And when that goal went in, I thought Fulham were going to really struggle here with no Mitrovic. I thought they were going to struggle, but everyone went on about Kamara playing up front, hasn't really scored goals. He hasn't played a lot of football, but I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I thought his first goal was class, header, bottom corner, keeper stood no chance, and I loved his second goal. Apart from the goalkeeper, Lumley, you know what I mean? He played out from the back all night, you know what I mean? And he was outstanding doing it all night. But then you're going to get caught out by doing it. Everyone does it, and I don't get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes just put your foot through it and clear it. You know what I mean? You're playing against Fulham, who are the masters at playing football. So you give them the ball back in dangerous areas, and they rip them open for that second goal. And Kamara's finish was excellent. It'll be interesting to see Scott Parker's team selection to see if he puts Mitrovic back in against Derby, because he plays Derby tomorrow, and if he doesn't play Kamara, because Kamara scores 2 goals and gets dropped, or does he put Mitrovic back in, or does he play them both? You know what I mean? Because those two up front with Knockaert and Calaviero, you know what I mean? That'd be an outstanding front four. But you know what I mean? I think Fulham deserved it, mate. For me,
yeah,
I thought they were very, very strong.
The best they've looked in weeks, actually. I thought. Do you know, I watched Kamara play for, I think it must have been Fulham recently, but and he was dreadful. At one point, I turned to my mate and said, "How is he a professional footballer?" and then literally a week later, he bangs in 2 goals and looks quality. My mate was straight on the phone texting me, "Yeah, you got a podcast about football and you're looking stupid." But there we go. What's new? Prediction.
Yeah, exactly.
My predictions and opinions. Generally, the opposite happens. Yeah, Hugo was very good, wasn't he? And going back to what you were saying about the keeper as well. Play out from the back. My thing is they seem to all these teams who play out from the back. It seems to be like a constant thing every time. They've got to do it, which comes from the coaches. Whereas to me, it should be play short, play short, play short. When they close down, you either miss out the defenders and go to the wide midfielders, or you go long, and then when they stop pressing, you go short again, and you play to where their other team is. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. You don't just do it regardless. And who else was it? Was it Derby who've done it a couple of times this year?
Yeah.
And they've got caught. And it's like you can't just keep doing this tactic if it's causing you problems.
Or you're going to get found out. You're going to get found outside, because if I'm a scout and I'm playing against QPR this Tuesday, this Wednesday, next Saturday, and I see them playing out for the back, that I'm gonna sit off them, and then I'm gonna get at them. You know what I mean? Straight away, because I know they're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Press high, because and it's not like they haven't got a target man up front to go and kick the ball to, because Hugo would love to flick the ball on for Naki Wells and Eze. So they've got the pace the other way. So put the ball forward for them. Why play out for them? It just doesn't make sense to me. And for me, the manager's got to, because of the way they did it all game. It's the manager's decision. So Warburton's got to take the blame for that goal, because he's telling his keeper to do it.
Yes, absolutely. I thought like the first 10 minutes of the game, Fulham clicked into gear quite. I thought the first 10 minutes they were a bit. I wouldn't say bad, but they just looked not as composed. And then
I think the goal shocked them. I think the goal. I don't think they thought that QPR were going to start on the front foot like that. I didn't. I'll be honest. I thought they were. They'd had a couple of corners before. Yes, I did. I thought they were going to sit back against them, and because Fulham were going to have loads of the ball, but didn't work out like that. So, they caught them on the hop, but they weren't good enough throughout the game really to contain. And Fulham have got too many good players on the day. You can't stop it.
Yeah, I thought Cavaliero was outstanding.
Kearney as well.
Yeah, I nearly gave one of my ups to Cavalieri. I can't say his bloody name.
Cavaliero.
Yeah, him. But I actually gave it to one of his teammates.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so what have we got next then, mate? Because I just went off it.
Blackburn.
Blackburn 3, Barnsley 2.
We just spoke about a team playing out from the back. You've got a team who's bottom of the league who can't defend. Barnsley have got himself a new manager, and straight away his team plays out from the back and gives a goal away. Yeah, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. Barnsley, I've never seen a team defend so badly and give goals away like they do. You know what I mean? That Barnsley have scored quite a lot of goals this season, but it's the goals they're letting. You know what I mean? Down the bottom of the league, they've scored 18. They create so many chances, but they've let 36 goals in. I was so positive about them in the summer side.
I was going to say that. What did you say in the summer?
What's the first show back about how many clean sheets they're going to make? I'd be happy if they let 2 goals in or 1 goal in. They're shipping goals and so many goals. It's not even tough goals. They're giving goals away and giving chances away. And you can't do it when you've got Blackburn with players that they've got. Who are we talking about? Bradley Dack scores 2. You've got Armstrong. You've got Gallagher. You've got Rothwell. You've got Stewie Downing. You've got Holtby. You know what I mean? You can't afford to give these kind of players opportunities to create chances against you. You know what I mean? And it's probably the worst team to do it against, to be honest. And Barnsley played into Blackburn's hands.
So the show that you were referring to is the preview show that we did in the summer. Yeah. Which I don't think it's marked up as episode 1. It's marked up as preview, and then I think
don't watch it about Barnsley. Cut across that bit.
Yeah. So the thing with Barnsley, though, mate, is going forward they're excellent. And
mate, I can't believe how many chances they create. I can't believe it.
A couple of weeks ago, we worked out that if they conceded 1 goal with the occasional 2, they'd be like in the top 3 or 4 comfortably.
16 shots on target they had.
Unbelievable. And
they
lost.
Had, Blackburn had 9 and 1.
Unbelievable.
Do you know what I mean? Part of me feels sorry for them, but then part of me watches the first goal and see them playing out from the back and thinks they deserve what they get for overplaying. And you know what I mean? They're playing in a different animal. If they played like this last year, Si, you can do it against lesser players. You know what I mean? They're doing it against. I've just named a front 6 there, which some of them have played in the Premier League. Some of them should be playing in the Premier League. So if you're going to do it against these kind of players, then you've got to back yourself and you've got to really, really, really make sure that you're doing it proper, because you know what I mean they're embarrassing themselves in a minute. And you know what I mean? I'll say it again for the final time of the show. Well, it probably won't be the final time. League tables don't lie. They're down the bottom of the league and they're rock bottom because of the way that they defend.
Yeah, I agree. And do you know what? When I release the first Andy Campbell show T-shirt, which will be soon, by the way, keep an eye out. It's going to say the league table doesn't lie. Either that, or do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
Either one. Yeah. And then on the back, you know, like if you have a concert and it lists all the venues, like so you have like all the venues where like people have been on tour and stuff, like a band or something. On the back is just gonna have all the fake Geordie lingo all the way down.
Oh, I like that.
Not bad, no, not bad.
Good thinking.
Just gotta find someone who can draw, because I can't.
I might have an idea with that one. I have an idea.
So I tell you what I did think was very good in this game was the 2 Austrian the 2 Austrian guys, Radlinger and Schmidt. I thought they were both very good.
Well, I think obviously the Austrian manager will be getting the best out of players. You know what I mean? Especially those 2. You know, I think it'll be a good appointment, but they need to get the defence sorted out. You know what I mean? You can't be shipping goals in this league, and you know what I mean. The gap from where they are to, you know what I mean, the Stoke Cities is going to get bigger if they're not careful, because Stoke City obviously got another positive result, which we'll just talk about soon. And you know what I mean, and Middlesbrough got another point. You know what I mean, and I don't believe Luton are going to be below them. You know what I mean. So I can't see many teams who are going to finish below Barnsley at the minute on current form.
No, Bradley Dack though, mate. Tell me about him.
Mate. On the first show as well, he was my player. He was my player that I spoke about, raved about, and you know what I mean. He's played his way through the leagues. You know what I mean. He just looks so composed. He makes me feel a little bit sick that he makes football look easy. You know what I mean, and that annoys me that you know what I mean. When I played, I struggled. You know, I don't think I ever found I don't think I ever found football easy. You know what I mean. Every time I finished, I was critical of myself. You know what I mean. I struggled during games. I struggled after games, and he just makes me look sick. He looks like a footballer. He looks like, you know what I mean, he's a good-looking boy, and he just makes things. He just makes me feel sick now. I don't like him no more. I think I'll fall out with him.
No, he's a hell of a player. What position would you say is his best? Because he does move around.
Well, the way they play with 1 up and they play 3 behind. So you know what I mean. It's like I say he's a Roma, that he's a 10, but then left and right. So they've got the license to go anywhere behind left, right, centre. So you know what I mean. And we spoke about this. We spoke with Jared Bourne doing the same job. That he's in that mould, and he's bringing goals into his game. You know what I mean. I just spoke about Mendes Lang. That Cardiff are a little bit more structured. That he plays wide right, where if he was structured, he wouldn't score as many goals. Where he's got the ability to go right, left, centre, and bring goals to his game, and he's not just stuck out on the right and easily marked. And you know what I mean. And I think maybe Neil might be able to bring that to Mendes Lang's game, for example, because Jared Bowen, he's on the left, he's on the right, he's behind the striker, same as Bradley Dack. That Stewie Downing's on the left, Stewie Downing's on the right, same as Bradley Dack. And you know what I mean. He's an outstanding footballer.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. He's one of my biggest criticisms, actually, going back to Cardiff, of Cardiff, Neil Warnock and Neil Harris. So far, obviously, there's only one game. Is that Cardiff are too structured? They don't allow, or the fullbacks don't. They were better actually under Harris on Saturday. They got a lot further forward and a lot wider, the fullbacks, but the 3 behind don't rotate. So
I
you
agree.
don't have,
I
if you
agree.
had Mendes, Lang, Tomlin, and say Murphy, for instance, behind Gratzel or whoever, Patson. If if it's not working, move them about a bit. Put Tomlin on the left and Mendes Lang in the 10 and Murphy on the right and switch it. And because not only does it give them a chance to try something different and see if they can, make something happen, but it also means that the defenders who've got into the habit for the first 20 minutes of looking for a certain player when they're marking and setting and doing all this stuff, they've got to look like it's a different face and a different person, and they can switch off for a split second.
I totally agree, Si. And then you've got players on the bench, you know what I mean, who, when they come on, you're not now thinking, right, he's coming on and playing right midfield. You haven't got a clue where he's coming on because he's coming on to play somewhere, you know what I mean? You don't know where. So nobody knows who's marking him. And sometimes when we've seen players come off the bench straight away and score a goal, that's why, because nobody knows whose man he is. And that's the unknown factor. And, you know what I mean? Maybe that's a young manager's thing, you know what I mean? Where, you know what I mean, or not someone who's, you know what I mean, as structured and as set in the ways as obviously as Sir Neil Warnock was, you know what I mean? So
Sir Neil
Warnock.
So next up is Brentford 1, Reading 0. Another one of the players who we've talked up quite a lot is
Ollie Watkins. Yeah, he's outstanding. Again, he's scoring goals. You know what I mean? He's not a centre forward, or well, he is now, but he wasn't when last season. He was more of a 10, and he's putting that centre forward plays into his own. And 6 wins out of 7 for Brentford. The only game they lost was a home game against Huddersfield, and under the new managers, so that's probably not a surprise. Won 1-0, won 3-0, won 3-1, won 3-0. You know what I mean? They've got themselves in a really good position now, just outside the playoffs, really in form. Not a very nice place to go, Griffin Park. You know what I mean? You're not going to get much change from that. They go to Blackburn on Wednesday night, then they're at home to Luton. So there's a couple of games there for Brentford that they can carry this good form through. And I think they'll be up there, Si. You know what I mean? Well, to be fair, they should be up there with the amount of money that they spent. So I'm not surprised with the way that things have turned around, because I think they had a really, really struggle start to the season. You know what I mean? And I think the manager put himself under a lot of pressure. Frank, Thomas Frank, and you know what I mean. I think with Ollie Watkins' goals, you know, if you take him out that side or side,
struggling.
Yeah, they'll struggle. You know what I mean. So I think they do need to invest in the window. For me, another goal scoring threat. You know what I mean? Because they've certainly got to keep hold of Ollie Watkins. You know what I mean? They can't afford to lose him.
Do you not think that's a bit absurd for a team who spent as much money as they've spent? They're so reliant on a player who was not even a striker last year.
Yeah, massively. You know what I mean? But it's the way they play, though, Si. You know what I mean? That I think last year that they didn't really have one outstanding player who scored all the goals for them. They had a lot of players who just chipped in, and you know what I mean. I think that's a concern this year that now they're so heavily reliant on one player. You know what I mean? And like Charlton were for me. You know what I mean? But now they're sharing the goals around. So it'll be interesting if other people can take over and share the goals around, because he can't do it all season. It's impossible.
No. Puskás had an international hangover. He missed a couple of sitters.
Yeah, well, he's been away for 2 weeks. He comes back and plays straight away. You know what I mean? And to be fair, I think the international break has come at a bad time for Reading. You know what I mean? Mark Bowen had them in the place he wanted them. You know what I mean? And they've had a couple of weeks off. They had a couple of players away for international duty, come back, and it's a bad result. It was always going to be a tough game, but you know what I mean? These are the kind of games that you want to play straight away after a victory. And you know what I mean? I feel sorry for teams like Reading, because it's happened to them a couple of times this season. And Mark will be gutted that he's obviously had his first defeat. But it was always going to be a tough game, and you know what I mean, two sides on good form, but something had to give.
Yeah, it did. So next up we had the 0-0 between Forest and Bristol.
Ball draw. No way. You know what I mean? There was some chances created. An absolute horror tackle in the second half from Yates. But just chances created, Si. You know what I mean? There was plenty of chances in the game created. I think Nottingham Forest probably had the better chances. But, you know what I mean? It was just two good sides playing out a good 0-0 draw. Both didn't want to lose the game, but both could have won the game in the end. And I think Nottingham Forest will come away from the game a little bit happier than Bristol City were. Bristol City are struggling to score goals. And struggling since obviously they lost Afobe. They've lost some good players going forward, and when Wyman doesn't score, who chips in and scores goals for Bristol City? Grabbing missed a good chance second half, chipped the ball over the goalkeeper and went wide. But I think Nottingham Forest will be a lot more happier with the point than Bristol City will be.
Yeah, I think so. When you've had a player sent off, it's kind of hold on and then take what you can get. Next up is Derby 1, Preston 0.
What can I say about Derby County? We haven't said before. It's the inconsistency, and I just don't know. I just don't know what to say. Obviously, we both know a certain commentator for Derby, and I keep messaging me just saying like which Derby's going to turn up today, and I think he's more confused than us. And it's just Derby at home are a different side to Derby away. Derby away are rubbish. Derby at home are pretty good, and Derby at home create chances to score goals like they did. They've got a lot of injuries, but who hasn't in the Championship at the minute? And Preston's still sitting nicely in third, so it was always going to be a tough game. They've had a couple of weeks off, but Preston had a goal disallowed. They still created a few chances, but I think Derby created enough chances to win that game, and on the day deserved to win.
Yeah, I think so. Young Waghorn made his. He made a big difference when he came on.
Yeah, he proved a point and got himself a good goal, got himself in good areas, and scored a proper centre forward goal off his chest on the line. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and Tom Lawrence, obviously we've rightly criticised him massively over this season, particularly in the last couple of months. But the last show we did on the Championship, he was one of my ups. Yeah, and you spoke so highly of him. He had a really, really good game.
He's the best player on the pitch. Best player on the pitch side by a country mile.
And the other boy, I forget his name. The young boy who was involved in a crash. Can't remember his name.
Bennett. Elliot Bennett.
Mason Bennett, isn't it?
Mason Bennett. Sorry.
I thought he was. He was. Normally, I think. So he got injured, didn't he? And he came off. But he missed a couple of chances. I still not 100% sure on him. I'm not sure whether I think he's good enough for a club their size. But Derby are, inconsistent.
We've got the Wayne Rooney factor coming as well, haven't we? Because obviously that's imminent in December, January. So will that improve them? Will it have a negative effect? Will it? I just don't know with that. Honestly, are they going to be too far away by the time he comes in to have an impact? Because the league's starting to take fall now. The league's starting to take shape a little bit. So will it be too much of an ask for him coming in to make a positive impact for Derby to push on the league? Because I think with how poor they are away, what we got another month, loads of games up before he can sign. That he's going to be another probably 12 games down before he pulls on a white shirt.
Indeed, and you'd think he'd probably help players like Bennett as well, who are youngsters coming into it.
Yeah.
Next up, Huddersfield 1, Birmingham 1.
The chipping away, Huddersfield, slowly improving. I thought their goal was outstanding, Fraser Campbell. But they just need that second goal to kill teams off, and the longer they leave games with not killing games off, Birmingham were causing problems from set pieces, and when you fill a box like Birmingham did, it was Robertson's claiming the goal, but Jukovic, I'm sure, hit him in the face and went in off the goalkeeper. So I don't know who's got the goal, but Huddersfield, they're doing better side. They're creating more chances. They're scoring very good goals. They're looking better defensively, but on Saturday I think set piece was always going to cause them problems because Birmingham have got that many at that height with Jukovic up front, and when they put the centre halves forward, but they've certainly picked up Huddersfield and they've got themselves out the bottom three quite comfortably. They're 3 points clear, and I think it's a little bit more positive for Huddersfield fans.
Yeah, I think so. Though I think they've really turned it around.
Yeah,
Um, it was interesting. The Blues or the Birmingham caretaker manager, as he dropped Lee Camp, which obviously is a very experienced goalie. I can understand
yeah.
why they've dropped him. He's
I
made a
made a few
few
clangers.
mistakes,
Yeah,
but their average age is so young anyway. Like
mm.
Camp brings it up,
Yeah, he does.
um, and then they brought in obviously a young goalie
He
who
did really well.
he did very well. He made a
Yeah, he did
couple of
really
really
well.
good saves. Um, I thought Trevor Chalabar's
Shalabar,
the ball for
his ball
Fraser
through to
Campbell's
Fraser Campbell.
goals.
Oh,
Oof.
outstanding, outstanding. But when you've got a player side who can pick a pass like that, another 10, you know what I mean? When you've
Well,
got players like this, they've got a chance.
that's why I'm surprised that Fraser Campbell's only scored 2 goals this year,
Mm,
and I'm surprised with the players he's got in midfield behind him that he
yeah,
hasn't scored more goals because he is a goal scorer.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
scored goals wherever he's gone, really.
yeah. Totally agree.
Next up, Stoke 2, Wigan 1.
Um, what can you say about the impact the new manager's made? You know what I mean? That Michael O'Neill comes in and just change the fortune round of a football club. You know that didn't get off to a great start with the goals just before half time. So you're going 1-0 down. You know, you think it's going to be another one of them shows, and to get the equaliser, and then somebody from Mama Diop comes and scores a goal right at the death. Who he's not played zero football, I think, all season, apart from a cameo role last weekend, and then scores a winning goal. So he came on the interview and he said it's like a new signing. You know, he's played 18 minutes of football this year. You know
Wow.
what I mean? This season, and you know what I mean. So it's like a new signing. You know, so it's the positive impact that we've had. That we said about the start of the show, say about new managers, and I do really worry for Wigan. You know what I mean? That they're in a position, and not a very good position where they can't afford to drop points, and I see that as points dropped. You can't be, you know what I mean? That they've dropped. I think they've dropped something like 12 points in the last 4 games for late goals. 3 goals in the 92nd minute, and 1 in the 87th minute. And if is that a fitness thing? Is it a lack of concentration? But you know what I mean, that they're now in an area in a position in the league which, you know what I mean, you can't afford to do it. They don't score enough goals. They've scored less goals than Middlesbrough, which is a concern. You know what I mean? They're the least number of goals scored this season. Wigan, and obviously they scored 3 goals against Cardiff. So you take them out, they scored 11, and that's 1 game at the start of the season. So that's a massive concern for the manager.
It's weird, isn't it? When teams start conceding late goals, it seems to become a habit very quickly,
Mm.
and the same with scoring them as well. So I do think it's got to be like a mindset kind of thing,
Yeah,
whereby it's in your head
yeah,
of the defenders and the keepers, particularly in close games, and
yeah,
then they almost makes them on edge, and then
yeah.
they end up making mistakes and whatnot.
But it's just it's there's something outside because it becomes a habit, but becomes a bad habit, and
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like a losing habit. You know what I mean, that you're expecting it to happen, and you know what I mean. There's something what happened in that game what I'm going to speak about in one of my the ups and downs, and something what needs to be stopped sooner rather than later. But
oh, intriguing.
yeah, but Stoke City on the up, and I think the fans should be really excited about what could come up to Christmas, and then what Michael O'Neill could bring in the January window. Because will he go and bring in some of his tried and tested from Northern Ireland, and players that he knows he's happy working with? But I think it was a right appointment at the right time, and that club could shoot right up the league.
Yeah, I feel for Nathan Jones in many ways, but I agree it's probably the right time. And Michael O'Neill's an excellent manager. I just
Yeah.
hope that Nathan Jones gets another crack at the championship.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So another new manager is Gary Rowett. Swansea 0, Millwall. Sorry, 1. Jed Wallace, mate. Woo!
Jed Wallace,
What a bit of form.
what a free kick! You know what I mean? I was quite surprised that what about people not getting punished twice? I thought that was a red card, Van der Horn, for the free kick. You know what I mean? He pulled him back. So if it's a free kick, he's 1-on-1. You've got to. It's the punishment's a red card. You've got to send him off. But You know what I mean? I think he got away with one, but he didn't get away with the goal because I thought the free kick was absolutely outstanding. And it's not just the goal that he does, Si. You know what I mean? It's his all-round game. He's causing problems. He's setting things up. He's scoring very good goals. And the Gary Rowett effect, new manager effect, the positive effect. You know what I mean? That this wasn't a lucky result. I thought they were the best side out. You know what I mean? And Millwall, since Neil Harris has left, they've looked like a different side. You know what I mean? They've looked like a side free flowing of football. They're creating chances. They're going to Swansea, which is one of the best sides in the Championship, and the better side. So, you know what I mean? He's obviously doing something right, and he's pulling the best out of some of the players that they've got there. But defensively, they were solid, and Jed Wallace is absolutely ripping the Championship up.
Yeah, he works hard as well, doesn't he?
He's just got pace, and his pace doesn't just go forward; it goes back as well. And you know what I mean? He works hard for the team. He's obviously cares, and he's obviously running through a brick wall for his football club, and I love that. I think it's a trait that I've always fell in love with in football. And you know what I mean? He tries just as hard going forward as he does defensively, and you know what I mean? I'm all for that.
And we said about Derby being up and down. Swansea just don't seem to be able to get a run of games going.
No, I think they obviously put all the eggs in one basket when they beat Cardiff a few weeks ago, and I think since that they're hit and miss side, and they can't afford to do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? You look at the, you know what I mean? What would you rather do, Si? Would you rather win one game against your rival, or would you rather, which is only get 3 points for it, or would you rather win the next two, which is 6 points? You know what I mean? So for me, I'd rather win 6 points than that. So you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Spot on, mate. And next up, we've got the mighty Middlesbrough, who drew 2-2 with Hull.
I've not seen Middlesbrough play like that since the first game of the season in the first half. Although they were electric, 2-0 up. They were outstanding. And then all of a sudden, they get let down by a ridiculous tackle by Johnson, and they let Hull City back in the game, and then Mr. Bowen takes over and scores 2 very good goals. I thought when the first goal went in, I said to one of the lads, I said, this is not going to end well. And to be fair, once he got 2-2, I only expected one team to win it, and you know what I mean. And he's got to leave there he's got to leave there in January. Size he can't stay there. He can't. It's just one of those things which defies logic. You know what I mean? He's got.
Where would he go? Where would you?
If I was advising him or I was him, I would want to go to a side who's up there in the Championship. If that's a West Brom, if that's a Leeds United, if that's a Cardiff City, if that's for me, he's going to play more football playing the Championship than he will do if he signs for a Premier League side. But if he wants to earn more money, he's going to go to the Premier League. So it's a difficult one. It's you know what I mean?
I agree with you. Sorry, completely. I just can't. I'm just not sure if he goes to a Premier League club, like where to go and play. I mean, I could see him at like maybe like an Everton or somewhere like that. But
yeah, I agree.
I think he'd be better off at like a top Championship club. Leeds are after. It said in the paper today they want to try and sign Liverpool's Ryan Brewster on loan in January. And I was thinking, if they're going to sign him on loan, they'd be better off chucking some money down to Hull and signing Jared Bowen. You imagine putting Jared Bowen in that team?
I totally agree, sir. Totally agree.
But yeah, much better for Middlesbrough, mate. Much better.
Yeah, much better. But you've got to look at the bigger picture. You know what I mean? You've lost. It's 2 points dropped. You know what I mean? The manager brought on Adam Clayton and try to sit. You know what I mean? And we've said about people sitting. Teams aren't good enough to sit in the Championship. Teams just pin you back, and they hurt you. And Middlesbrough got hurt really badly. And 2 points dropped, which Middlesbrough really can't afford to lose at the minute.
Indeed, I think that's all the games, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is it?
Excellent. Wow. Not bad at all. So we'll move on to the ups and downs, whereas myself and Andy picked 2 big performances, moments or players, and 2 nightmares from the weekend. So we'll go with downs first. Just get the negative out the way. You got first.
Well, I've gone for 3. I've gone for 3 red cards. I've gone for Liam Palmershire for Wednesday, Ryan Yates of Nottingham Forest, and Johnson for Middlesbrough for 3 absolute shocking tackles. I just can't honestly. I can't put my finger on why people do these kind of challenges. You know what I mean? Because you're never going to get away from it. It looks worse because you're going over the top of the ball. Your studs are showing, and I don't know if you're protecting yourself. Is it a coward? It's a coward's tackle for me because you're going there looking to hurt somebody and you can't. You know what I mean? If that's you, you wouldn't like it happening to you, so you can't do it to somebody else. And you know what I mean? Someone's going to get seriously hurt with these kind of tackles.
Yeah, I agree, mate. So I've got Ryan Yates because I thought his tackle was the worst.
That was rubbish. It was really bad.
Because I hadn't spoken to you about the, like who we were going to select as we normally do. I had a backup of Puskas because I felt he should have scored at least one of those chances. And obviously they lost the game 1-0. But I also put managers who play from the back, who tell their players to repeatedly play from the back.
Bang on.
Don't adjust to the game situation.
Bang on.
So who have you got for your next one, mate?
This is my Stoke City one. So I've gone for Jack Butland, and I'm going to explain why, because the goal from Massey. So Massey broke away from his own 18-yard box. He kicked the ball, and then there's an incident where Jack Butland and the defenders come into the ball, and Jack Butland and the defender has got himself in all kinds of mess. We're talking about an England international goalkeeper, you know what I mean? So all he's got to do is scream at the top of his voice, goalkeeper's ball. The defender runs out the way and he clears it out into the stand, and nothing is happening. This boy has gone from being an England national goalkeeper side to being one of the worst goalkeepers in the Championship, and this breaks my heart to see it. And you know what I mean? I'm not buying this confidence, because how can you not be confident? You're a professional footballer plying your trade. You've trained with the world's best players for England, the England's best players, some of the best managers that England have had. And what's going on? You know what I mean? What is going on? You know what I mean? I'm just not buying into it. And
I think it's an attitude thing.
Well, the manager's brought him out, stuck Federici in, and I feel sorry for Federici, because how many chances is this one player going to get ahead of you before he says, listen, I can't stick by you anymore. You're coming out. He's having his opportunity. He's having 10 games. We'll look at it again in 10 games' time, because you know what I mean. It's costing careers. It's costing goals. It must be so frustrating for the back four. Maybe that's the problem why Stoke are where they are, because they've got no confidence in what's behind you. Because there's something not right with Jack at the minute, and you know what I mean. Do I feel sorry for him? Of course, I feel sorry for him, partly because I've been there when things aren't going right for me. But at the same time, maybe he needs to say to the manager, and I need to stay out this week. I can't play. I've forgot. You know what I mean? Play the other goalkeeper. My head's not in it. You know what I mean? So something's got to give, and it's either the manager says it or the player says it, because you can't keep on making these errors, and these errors for a so-called international class goalkeeper are criminal.
Problem is when they put Federici in and he made an error, didn't he?
Yeah, but the expectation on him side aren't as big as Jack Butland, because of
of course. And I suppose the other thing is Federici is a good Championship keeper, but also from Federici's point of view is he's not getting any younger. So it's like the end, not the end of his career, but it's coming towards the end of his career. So he needs to will want to play whenever he can. He understands that he's the backup keeper, I'm sure, but he will want to play as much games as he can, because he knows, he's not going to play forever.
Yeah, totally.
And then if you see someone repeatedly getting picked, but repeatedly making mistakes as a keeper, it's got to be disheartening.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, so let's get on to the ups.
I've gone for Shea, the Luton goalkeeper. I thought he was just absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't, I can't let a performance like that go without, I've just slagged the goalkeeper off for something, so I can't, I've got to give credit where credit's due, and I thought his performance was just absolutely phenomenal. If it wasn't for him, it could have been double figures easily.
Yeah, I had him, but I also had Bradley Dack down as well as my backup, because I thought there was a good chance that you would pick Shea as well. The keeper was unlucky with the last minute goal as well.
Yeah.
But Bradley Dack completely, dominated the game. 2 goals. Yet again, excellent.
Yeah.
You got for your next one?
I've gone for Charlie Austin, and the reason why I've gone for Charlie Austin is I went for Paddy Bamford 2 weeks ago, was it, when he scored his first goal in since September, and Charlie has had the same. He's had a bit of a poor start to his West Brom career. You know what I mean? He scored 2 goals before the game, and to have a penalty in the embassy at 87th minute, you've got to have some balls to take it. You know what I mean? And he's obviously a confident young boy. He's a confident old man now, but he's as football terms go, you know what I mean, 30-year-old. But you know what I mean? He's obviously there to score goals, and you know what I mean. He hasn't really hit the ground running like I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to be scoring 15, 20 goals easily, but to have the balls to step up in the 87th minute in a high pressured game to score the winning goals. So you know what I mean. I think it takes a lot to do. So you know what I mean. I've been there myself to do it. So it was important for him to get that goal. So he's my up.
I just realised I didn't give my second down. My second down was Junior Hoylett for his dreadful penalty.
Oh yeah,
speaks for itself. My second up. So this was a toss up between Anthony Knockaert, but I went for Kearney from Fulham. But to be honest with you, I could have picked about 3 or 4 different number 10s this weekend because I thought Tomlin changed the game for Cardiff. Yeah. You had Dak, you had Kearney, Jared Bowen, and there was another one as well, but I can't remember which one it was. You know, it's a never-ending list of
inundated, mate. We're inundated with these number 10s at the minute, and I just hope it continues because it's just so exciting. The better the 10 is, the more chances we're going to create, and it's just better viewing. Better viewing. More to talk about. More goals.
Yeah, and Kearney, I thought, just was, he was superb. He just controlled the game. Everything which was good going forward for Fulham went through him. Yeah. Very, very, very good. Very good. Okay, so let's finish off with some questions, and then we'll have some fake Geordie bingo lingo. So, questions. Guys, you can send questions for Andy every week to facebook.com/ACEcastNation, Twitter @ACEcast_nation, or you can email acenetworkcontact@gmail.com. So some of these are from last week because obviously people never got to see the answers, but there's a couple of new ones as well. So Johnny Wishbone, friend of the show, says, did Andy ever have a proper argument with any teammates or witness a fight between teammates?
It happens all the time, Si. You know, like I've been in changing rooms where I've seen things happen. You know what I mean? I've had heated confrontations myself with people. But it's heat at the moment. Do you know what I mean? That's the word I think people have got to understand, that regardless of high profile, low profile, it happens on a daily basis. Training ground, match days, changing rooms. But for me, it's got to stay in the changing room. Whatever happens on the pitch, it stays at the football club. It shouldn't be spilled out anywhere else. And I think the problem that we'll go back to the Gareth Southgate incident and the Gomez and Sterling, that you can't let that happen. You know what I mean? You can't publicly criticise your players. If they have a stand-up brawl in the street on a night out, is a different thing. But if football related, even if it's in a team hotel, you know what I mean? These players care. You know what I mean? These players are passionate about what they do, and you know what I mean? But that's where it should stay for me. And for me, the managers will tell you, you know what I mean? And the most famous one in the world, you've got Sir Alex Ferguson, David Beckham, you know what I mean? Flying boot, you know what I mean? You never really found out the true story about what happened. But what happens in the changing room stays in the changing room, and that's it. That's how it should be.
Yeah, I thought Gareth Southgate made it a lot worse by the way he dealt with it. And,
well, you don't drop your players, and you know what I mean? And the biggest question, and I spoke to a couple of lads on a radio station about if it was a qualifying semi-final or a major tournament, would he have dropped him?
No.
Well, we both know the answer. We both know the answer. He wouldn't have. So you know, what I mean, if he's not going to do it in that game, then don't do it at all, do you?
Yeah, it just seems a bit half-assed, doesn't it? Yeah. So Gaz Cummins asks, favourite and most hated grounds to play at, and why?
Most hated, I'd say the New Den. It was quite an intimidating place to play. You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever came away from there really enjoying the game that I've enjoyed playing. You know what I mean? There was a lot of stick flying about there, a lot of hostility. But at the same time, it got you going for the game. You always kept you on your toes. But I loved my time at Cardiff. As everyone knew, Linnean Park. You can't not love that. You know what I mean? It was another hostile place, but not for a home player. You know what I mean? It was always for opposing players, and you always knew you had the fans backing, regardless if you were English or whatever. You know what I mean? They always had my back, and I loved every minute of it. So when people say that they're anti-English, well, they've never been with me. So it's always been a lovely place to play me football, and you know what I mean. And obviously playing at the Riverside, being a Middlesbrough fan, it was always a dream to play at the Riverside. And you know, I wasn't fortunate enough to play at Essen Park, but only played there when it was getting knocked down, when it was training wise. So you know what I mean, as a Middlesbrough fan, it was a dream come true to do that.
Yeah, you bring a tear to my eye now. Speaking about Linnean Park,
I know it's not the same, is it? Not the same.
No. So we had the word association from Peaches again, but we'll save that one until the end. So Seth says, "Why do you hate Dave Jones so much? Did him and Danny Mills pick on you?"
Me and Dave had a falling out, like players and managers have, and you know what I mean. I took it personal. Like probably Dave didn't like me, I didn't like him, and it's just one of those things. And you know what I mean. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it like Dave doesn't. And you know what I mean. I responded. People never found out why I didn't like Dave Jones when I left Cardiff. People found out I didn't like Dave Jones when he was appointed Hartlepool United manager, because I was very outspoken with my social media rant, and that came apparent. So it's do I regret me falling out with Dave Jones? No, because it was something that I felt at the time. Do I regret my tweet? That's a different question. You know what I mean? I regret saying some of the words I used. You know what I mean? But I don't regret anything, mate. To be honest, you know me very well now, and you know me very well. I'm very passionate and I'm very honest, probably too honest, and I live and die by what I say and what I do. And you know,
have you deleted those tweets now?
No, I don't. Why would I? You know what I mean? Why would I? I'll retweet it. Retweet
him out later.
Yeah. Retweet. Mate, I've got nothing to hide. You know what I mean? Me and if I walk past him in the street, I've got respect for the man, because he was very successful at Cardiff City and Southampton and Wolves. And I've got respect for anybody who's done a good job in football. But I won't have a pint with him. But I'll shake his hand, because I've got respect for anybody who's done a job for a successful job in football. But we're not going to be best friends, and we won't send each other a Christmas card.
Excellent. Okay.
Sorry, and Danny Mills. No, I don't like him.
Danny Mills, sod him. Did you ever dive like properly?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not. I didn't cheat. Well, define cheating. I've said I used to love going on goalkeepers, and if I felt contact, I'm going to go down. If that means, you know what I mean. So yeah, I think I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not going to say.
Is that diving though? Is if there's contact, is it diving? I suppose that's the debate, isn't it?
You know what I mean. I didn't throw myself on the floor with no contact. So, but if I felt a little bit of contact, I went over it. I seen it coming. You know what I mean. You've got to protect yourself as well, sir. You know what I mean. So there's, you know what I mean. I used to go at pace really quickly. So you know, I had to protect myself, and sometimes I did see things coming before. You know what I mean. Other players probably seen it coming, so I could probably ride it a little bit. And if I'm riding it, is it a dive? You know what I mean. I'm honest. You know what I mean. So I'm not. You know, so I'll say yeah. You know what I mean. But I wouldn't say I cheated. But I'd say I did dive, because I had to do that in order to get over a tackle, or not over a tackle, to, you know what I mean. But you know what I mean. Did that get Cardiff City a penalty? Yes. Did it get Middlesbrough a penalty? Yes. Did it get Sheffield United a penalty? Bolton a penalty? Yes. Halifax Town a penalty? Yes. Did it get the teams I played for some points? Yeah. So I'm not gonna. You know what I mean. Will it get me in trouble with the FA? Well, I hope not.
Yeah, it's a bit late now.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you get a letter off them though? Strongly worded letter.
Banned for life.
You cannot come into any football grounds.
Yeah. I just come in my scuba outfit.
Just dress up, sneak in the bin like Mourinho did.
Yeah.
Just skip. In the laundry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Still got a couple more questions. Who should Cardiff have picked if not Harris, and why?
Chris Hughton. because his experience, he's been there, he's done it, he's wore the T-shirt, he's Premier League experience, Championship experienced. But obviously, that for me would have been expensive because he would have had a lot of entourage to come with him, or Lee Boyer, because he's earned the right and the opportunity to progress his career for me. But Neil's got the job now, so I back him 100%, and until he's not manager anymore, basically.
Yeah, I probably agree with those. Why doesn't Will Vokes play more?
For whatever reason, Neil Warnock thought that the step up from Rotherham to Cardiff was a big jump, so he wanted to get him in slowly. But for me, he's a Wales international footballer, so he's ready. He should be playing more than he is, but he's obviously competing with Pack, with Joe Rawls, with Bacuna, so he's obviously competing with some good players as well. So, but I believe if you're good enough, you play. If you're playing well and you're winning games, you're going to keep your place. So I think with the new manager in place, I think he'll get more opportunities, and it's down to him to keep his place by being in that side when they're winning games side. So it's all down on his shoulders now, and I believe that he'll play a lot more games. You know what I mean? So obviously Joe's obviously missing, so he'll get more opportunities. So he just needs to take it now. Down to him.
Yeah, I think so. And to finish off, before we go to the fake Geordie bingo lingo, we'll do Peach's word association for you. She likes these. She sent you in another one. So we got, you just got to say the first thing which comes to mind, or first person which comes to mind, I suppose, isn't it? Nasty.
Oh, Vinnie Jones.
That might not be popular at the moment, mate. He's he's doing well on the old X Factor, I hear.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm going football though.
Yeah,
well, that was football.
He wasn't that nasty footballer.
Yeah, nasty man. Yeah.
Drunk. I already know the answer to this one.
Oh, Willie Boland.
Funny.
Leo Fortune West.
Quirky.
You catch me out with certain things, you know. Quirky. Give me another one. Let me go back to that one. You got another one?
No, that's the last one.
Oh, quirky.
Wild.
Let's go wild then. Wild. Do you know what? Spencer Pryor. And do you know what? That's what. Him and Willie. It just the music was horrific. But when I first signed for Cardiff, obviously I knew of Spencer. And when I signed there, I just couldn't believe how he was just nuts. He was just but it was I believe it was music orientated. You know what I mean? That he was, you know what I mean? That you just couldn't go anywhere without listening to that rubbish, I'll call it, for what he listened to. You know what I mean? There's rock music, and there's heavy metal, and then there's his music.
Death metal.
There was just it was just a noise. It was just a noise. You know what I mean? It was just eardrums.
Someone screaming.
That's what it was. Yeah, just you know what I mean? And I don't know. He must have had a constant headache. But, yeah.
Didn't he used to play guitar or something, or drums or something like that?
Yeah, he was very music orientated, and he was just a lovely guy, lovely guy, and he was played an integral part though, didn't he, for when we got promoted, and he was.
Yeah. But he's wild.
All right, that's you.
And to finish off, we will have the most exhilarating 10-second segment in the whole of radio, podcasts, and TV. Will no doubt be winning numerous awards very soon. It is the best segment in the whole world. It's the Fake Geordie Bingo Lingo, where Andy teaches me something from his northern roots, whether it's a phrase, a slang, a food, whatever.
Got a bit of heritage today, Sci-Fi. So I've got a famous landmark in Middlesbrough. Well, I was going to say Teesside, but it is Teesside. It's Middlesbrough. So right near the riverside, we've got the Transporter Bridge, and the Transporter Bridge is the longest-serving transporting bridge in the world. So if you get an opportunity to see it, it's just amazing. I think there's one in Newport, isn't there? But there's one at the one at Teesside is the most famous one in the world, and being on it a number of times. I've had family members who've abseiled from it, so it's played a good part in my heritage and my life, really. So it's quite a nostalgic thing from my upbringing. So so it's a thing that everyone should have a look at it, because it's really good, really good.
It's historical, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. So, you can find Andy on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. You can find me on Twitter at ACEcast_nation, Facebook.com/ACEcastNation. You can find all your audio versions of all our shows on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the usual places. And the video versions will always be at youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Andy, thank you for joining me, mate.
Loved it, mate. Again, loved it. Great to be back.
Good stuff. And I like it. And we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to send in your questions for Andy. They can be as weird or as random as you like. He'll answer anything. And we will see you next week. Teddy. Cheers, mate.
See you soon.
See you guys.